Alright, hey ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the Beyond Summit presentation of the Chinese Summit qualifiers. I am Luminous, and nobody's joining me today because Steven is currently asleep. In fact, a lot of people are currently asleep right now, so it is a little bit hard to find co-casters. But with that said, I'm going to try to do my best at this solo casting thing. So we are in the upper bracket currently for the Summit 7 round 2. We got Newbee versus CDEC. Newbee took down LFY 2-1. And CDEC took down Vichy Gaming 2-1, or actually 2-0. And I do want to point out that in Newbee's case, actually, that's pretty impressive because LFY just a day ago qualified to the Moscow Epicenter LAN, so they were definitely a very good team, and Newbee was able to knock them down 2-1. And if you look at this Newbee roster, they do have some. In fact, a lot of their names, or a lot of their players are like standard players. The only one player that I'm not personally familiar with is Moogie, but SC is still around. KP's here, Faith and Kaka are both exceptional players. So today for me, I'm gonna learn about what kind of playstyle and what kind of hero Moogie prefer and how he fits to the team. Meanwhile, for CDEC, wait, did I put CDEC in the beginning? I think I put LGD. All right, my bad, guys. It's actually CDEC that today's game is gonna be about. CDEC, they have a couple of players that are also somewhat new. Actually, no, they're all here. Flyby, Shade, June, Demons, and September. The roster has not been changed too much, and like I said, they were able to take down Vichy Gaming 2-0 to advance to this stage. And yeah, we got a draft along the way. CDEC will pick up Crystal Maiden and Omni Knight, whereas Sanking and Rubik will be selected by Newbee. So a couple of things to point out here for Newbee's draft so far. In the Chinese metagame, the teams really see Rubik as a quote-unquote counter to Sanking because you could easily steal Sanking's Sparrow Strike and then use it against the enemy team. So generally, when you see Sanking selected, the other team would always pick up the Rubik when they can, or if they haven't had a support selected yet. So generally, teams now are selecting Sanking and Rubik in tandem to prevent the quote-unquote counter pick. And then the other thing that's important to mention that Omni Knight is generally the first phase pick or ban hero of choice, at least currently in the Chinese scene. A lot of times, the Chinese teams see him as kind of a lane dominator in the off lane. And I personally kind of agree with them because unless you stick the whole tri-lane there, a lot of Omni Knights actually bully most of the commonly selected cores in the safe lane. So think of Juggernaut, hero that you could easily bully with the Omni Knight, Spectre, Slark, things of that nature. In fact, gets bullied pretty hard. I think Terrorblade gets to do a lot better, especially when he has access to Metamorphosis. But once that thing is on cooldown, Omni Knight comes in and give you the beat hammer pretty hard. So you do see Omni Knight being selected quite early. And I personally think that Omni is like one of the best heroes in the game if you could solve the laning situation. And it seems like the Chinese teams has, at least within their own metagame.
Seconds to go.
Second round of bans coming out. We got the Enigma and Darkseer being taken out by CDC. So evidently very worried about the teamfight capability of Newbee. Whereas Newbee would take out the Ember Spirit and Ricky as well. I am slightly surprised by the Ember Spirit ban, considering that they do have two heroes that could essentially guarantee lockdown and kills over the Ember Spirit. But perhaps just respecting some of these heroes, some of these players on CDC. Okay, I need to figure out who the hell is who.
Radiant's pick.
Because I only recognize Flyby. Like, Flyby is on the official roster. I don't know if these guys are using, like, different names or whatnot. Jakarai.
Terrorblade. Dyer's pick.
Is Setsu September? I have no clue. Like, I guess I should have figured this out. My apologies. But, yeah, this is going to be hard to call. Terrorblade is going to be the third pick here for Newbee. Whereas we got a Kunkka for CDC. So right from the get-go, CDC is going to be operating much more with the ganks. And Invoker is probably the best core you could pick, at least from the mid lane, to be benefiting from the ganks. Because he is going to be always a +1 to the ganks, obviously. And the benefit from that is that this allows Invoker, even if he has like a poor laning stage, allows him to catch back up. Sunstrikes, if you get the last hit, you get the gold, you get the experience without ever needing to leave the lane. And that is super important for Invoker because you guys all know he is a very experience dependent hero. And it's pretty easy to set up kills here. You got X, Torrent, Nova, Bite, They most of the time, I think, like Crystal Maiden and Kunkka, one of the downside between these two heroes as your support duo is that they don't do a lot of damage. Like Crystal Maiden will be predominantly maxing aura first, so that means your nuking capability early on is going to be quite weak. And as you do know, Kunkka did receive like a couple of torrent nerfs a couple of patches ago, so his damage output is also quite weak. So first of all, they are going to rely on the Sunstrike damage a lot. And even with the Sunstrike damage, I think you might need like a +1, whether it's Omni Knight or whatever the last pick is, to come in and get the ganks. Obviously, I guess if they X the Rubik, that's pretty much a free kill. But like for Puck, for Sand King, for Terrorblade, they probably need one more to ensure that they do get the kills. Meanwhile, we got Puck here for Team Newbee. And I wonder if this is going to be the KP hero or the SC mid hero. I don't recall SC playing a lot of Puck. So far I'm going to put it on KP. Although KP, I think he's also like much... Like I think he does a lot better on heroes like Slaughter and Sand King, like the initiator type of roles. Which technically Puck does feel, but I just haven't seen them in Puck. So, but there is a first for everything. So we shall see how Newbee align the heroes with the players.
Radiance ban.
Oh god, I'm running out of water. That is a bad sign when you're solo casting. But so far, if I have to pick a lineup that I personally prefer, I think I like the CDC lineup a little bit more. It's a lot easier to play, especially when you're kind of transitioning from laning to ganking. Crystal Maiden and Kunkka is so easy to like just pop a smoke, go to a lane, and ensure a kill. And allowing your Invoker to sit in lane and kind of economy it up with your Sunstrike kills is quite good. But in terms of the more dangerous team, I could definitely see Newbee winning a small fight and then transitioning into a big push. And yeah, Abaddon adds a lot to that. So this is going to be a mid puck, an off-lane Abaddon for KP. And a lot of the late game going to be rest on the power of the Terrorblade. So I think if there's going to be one lane that CDC should attack, it's going to be the Terrorblade lane. And I did mention the laning capability of Terrorblade earlier versus the Omni Knight. Omni Knight needs to essentially bait out the Metamorphosis, wait it out, and then go back and kind of pwn him. But if that's going to be possible, we will have to wait and see. So the Omni Knight player should be June, right? June is normally the offlane player for CDEC, but I don't know. The support player are generally Demons and September. You got Flyby and Carry and Shade on mid. So I'm going to be assuming that Invokers can be played by Shade. But again, I don't have the 100% info. So bear with me here, guys.
Ten seconds to go. 5 seconds.
Alright, boys and girls, we are in game 1 of Newbee versus CDEC. We are in the upper bracket of the Summit 7 qualifiers. Winner moves on, loser gets to drop to the lower bracket, so it's not the end of the road for either of these teams, but a good opportunity to get ahead. Faith will teleport to the bottom lane, but has no wards to drop, so this move is mostly to prevent the enemy from warding your jungle and whatnot. Sunstrike, checking over here, not going to see anything. Sentry to block camp. And we'll see where the observers go. Sanking will get observer. Of course, if you're not a frequent viewer of the Newbee squad, Kaka used to be a 9k player in China, which is extremely difficult to come by. And I do believe SC is also used to be a 9k player.
30 seconds.
I don't know if they're currently 9k, but a lot of individual skills in this particular roster. And I think the most impressive thing about Kaka's 9k is that he's doing it with support heroes. And that is actually tremendously difficult. Darkrai is going to be leading the gank here. Torrent is going to hit on Faith. Very nicely done here. Nova's going to follow up. No, excuse me. Frostbite. And Flyby will be spinning in for the kill here. Nicely played, though. They're going to turn around and get a Crystal Maiden kill. In fact, it wasn't the first blood, but it definitely made it a close. Kaka, half Burrow Strike in 2 seconds. Metamorphosis has been used here. And now they said, look, turn around here on Kunkka. Kaka with the movement speed, with the boots. It seems like there was a little bit of miscommunication as Mugi went for the Jugger, or Mugi went for the Kunkka, and then the Sanking went for the Terrorblade instead. So instead of actually having the traditionally Omni Knight in the offlane, instead they're going to put an offensive tri-lane versus Newbee. So to me, this is already a big victory for CDEC. They got first blood, obviously, that's a victory in itself, but they also forced out the Metamorphosis from Terrorblade. So that means for the next 1 minute and 30 seconds, Mugi is literally a glorified melee creep on this bottom lane, trying to get the last hits. And let me tell you that Juggernaut is going to be the better melee creeps, because he has access into spin, and should opportunity arise, he will actually be able to force out a kill. Top lane, KP on the Abaddon versus the Omni Knight. You can see that Omni Knight has the degen skilled up right now, and Boots as his next item of choice here. But mostly I'm going to be paying my attention to the bottom lane. Faith gets torrented up as well. Nice 2-man Burrow Strike though. No follow-up whatsoever here from Mugi. Mugi most likely has to take Reflection on 2, just to give him a little bit of defensive power in this lane. It seems like Newbee is losing out on this particular tri-lane, but I think it's okay for them to fall slightly behind, considering that they're the one that's running a defensive tri-lane. It's more up to CDEC to actually get something done in this lane. And so far, they are on a pretty decent advantage, and it might turn a little bit more. Torn just barely clipping Mugi, and Mugi will be giving up yet another kill. Very nicely done by CDEC. So far, very impressive with this Kunkka player. Able to land pretty much every single Torrent without help, which is definitely a lot harder said than done. I think this is September. And then we got Demons playing the Crystal Maiden. Or Darkrai. Shrine gets popped. Juggernaut a little bit late to the shower. Haste Rune though. Torrent. And now Faith is going to be rushing towards a rune. Easy rune for Faith. Now the Haste Rune does last quite a bit, so he gets to rush away. And September tries to seal the rune on the other side. They see the Crystal Maiden, and they can actually lift her up and toss her back. That's what they want. But instead, Faith gets frostbitten up. They toss her back. Metamorphosis is ready again. Burrow Strike will come through. But the Torrent again here. September on the back line. Kaka's on the run. Darkrai will be fine as well. Nobody dies, but yet they force out yet another Metamorphosis. And they don't lose a hero from it. So CDEC, to me, desperately, well, not desperately, but definitely winning the bottom lane tremendously. Back in the mid lane here. Shade. CSing away. Invoker only 9-3, and Puck actually getting a ton more denies. I find that extremely surprising, considering the fact that Invoker's got Alacrity running. But I'm pretty sure Invoker will be able to catch up. And even if he falls behind in the laning stage, like I mentioned, Sunstrike catch-up mechanism is going to be quite powerful for Shade. Or maybe SC is using his 9k mechanic, just outskilling Shade. Look at him go. Back on the top lane, we get Abaddon sitting at 19 CS to Omni Knight at 19 CS. So as you imagine, this lane is going to be like fairly even. Both these heroes have sustain, but KB does have the access into the shrine, and he'll pop it here. Neither team actually rotating to the mid lane just yet. So we got a fairly slow game overall. Man, this Puck is actually doing so much work here. The double no talisman allowing him to harass. And of course he's using his orb very nicely. Taking creeps as well as harassing Shade. Shade already forced to buy a infused raindrops. Always a bad sign when you see something like that. Bottom lane looks like X and Torrent comboed it up. But more or less a defensive casting of spells. Darkrai was perhaps in a little bit of trouble. But CS-wise though, Mugi able to really do okay here. despite the situation that he is pinned into. Looks like he was saving a couple of points, but now puts it into Metamorphosis as well as the Conjure Image. Kaka now rotating to the mid lane. Perhaps trying to set up a kill here. Puck, very close to level 6. Actually, not so close. Gonna need at least like 2 more Cook Waves to get there, but Shay knows something is up. He is falling behind right now. Kaka now making a rotation up top. Seems like Omni Knight is steadily winning out the lane, which I don't find too surprising, as Purification is a better quote-unquote laning spell compared to the Aphotic Shield. And he's currently able to bully out KP a little bit. The Sand Kings are rotating in though. Yeah, I don't know if Kaka could trade here. In fact, he loses out on the trade very hard. We'll get pushed back. KP will, well, try to farm a lane of creeps with the neutrals at once. He can get ganked pretty hard though. Looks like Puck was forced to rotate to the bottom side to make sure that Faith does not die. So that's going to give Shade a little bit of recovery time. Is there any Sunstrike coming through? No, Faith makes it to a shrine. Back in the top jungle, KP looking to TP out. 2 more hammer hits. Oh, he dies to Orb Venom? No, Sunstrike. My goodness. Well, I did talk about the Sunstrike as comeback, but I did not expect Sunstrike to the fountain, but that's exactly what happened. Kaka gets Burrow Strike, but here comes oh, there you go. Easy kill for the Omni Knight. June picks it up fairly easily. Bottom lane, Coil has been used here. Kunkka in a lot of trouble. They lift him out of the Coil stun. The tether breaks, and SC picks up the kill. So my big question is whether Omni Knight is going to be going for the quick mech, or is he going to go for the Hanamitis. Looks like the Hanamitis is queued up. I love this choice. I think when you can get away with Hanamitis on Omni Knight, you should, because it really propels your mid games drastically. Omni Knight can farm decently, like you could use Purification in the jungle, but for the most part, he is one of the slower farming off lanes, like compared to, let's say, Sand King, for example. So, I like the Midas choice. Kaka hiding in the trees here, but hard to actually make a gank anywhere. September? I really like this rune spot, or ward spot, excuse me. Yep, baited out a sentry. In fact, just outside of the range of the sentry. Let me actually check out the vision of this ward. It's not exactly the best ward. I mean, doesn't see too much, but didn't get dewarded, so there you go. Alright, let's switch over to Net War for a bit. We got Juggernaut as well as Omni Knight leading quite happily. Juggernaut does have the Omni Slash and of course a Teleport Scroll to go with it to help out with the other lanes.
That should help.
Again, I think this game, if it's slowed down, it really favors CDEC. CDEC is a team that's working with 2 Hanamitises, or will be. As June as well as Shade will be finishing one up fairly soon. Whereas Newbee is, you know, more or less on the clock. Mostly of their income is going to be coming through from the Terrorblade. And if Terrorblade does not get that early Dragonlance and kind of selectively push down these tier 1 towers, they're going to be in a little bit of trouble. Speaking of Terrorblade, he is not farming at all. Picks up the Iron Talon to actually go into the jungle, but top lane, KP, ultimate being forced out. But overall, really losing the lane. Looks like he is going to be going for a Hanamitis as well. But pretty sure he's going to finish that one a little bit later compared to the Omni Knight. Shade now being extremely aggressive, going for the kill here. Sunstrike missing. Now, looks like SC thinking about turning around, but if there was a TP coming in, that coil would have been pretty good, but I wonder if he used that coil almost defensively there. SC Shrine is not available, so I'm not sure why he's going there. And now it looks like Sand King pings out that there is a ward, as the 9-minute camp did not spawn. So apart from the mid lane, which is pretty much a wash, CDEC winning the laning stage pretty hard. And now Torrent finds Faith. They got the Frostbite. They got the X. Sunstrike on top. Marking back. Nicely done. Shay picks up the kill thanks to September's initiation. And, well, he picks up even more experience. In fact, Meteor's a creep wave. Is he going to start jungling? I think so. Yeah, he's got the Hannah Minus running as well. This is really good considering that his start wasn't the best in the laning stage. But, like I mentioned during the drafting phase, dude, you just Sunstrike and you catch back up. You're fine.
Bottom tower ain't a pretty sight right now. Radiant's gone and fortified their structures.
In the last couple of days of casting, the Chinese scene is definitely having a resurgence of Kunkka, and I really like it. Afu from former WG Uni has really brought it from overseas. And let me tell you, this pirate has been well, winning a lot of games. In fact, I think whenever people play against Afu now from LFY, they just ban out Kunkka. Juggernaut takes down the tier 1 bottom and continues to shove the lane. Very hard to actually kill him. In fact, there is nobody that could actually kill him if he spins TP. I mean, they could right click him down, but if he spin TPs at full HP, he's not going to die. So he understands that, and he's going to farm very aggressively. Okay, Kaka will sandstorm. And now the spin. I force him to walk away. Kaka's just going to stand here and tank it up. The fake torrents will force Kaka to run away. And now Faith teleports in. He is level 6. Looking to get off a spell steal. Will give himself an X marks the spot. Coil is going to be going on Demons or Darkrai. And Faith will KS that with the Zap. Man, somebody was using the courier for a while because Shay finished the Hanamitis and had like 700 gold in the bank. Alright, I'm pretty sure Shay wanted to use that courier a little bit earlier, but he'll be fine. Alright, well, my biggest concern for Newbee right now is that they have absolutely no offense. Their offense really relies on Mugi farming well in the laning stage, and then kind of transitioning into him like joining ganks and then pushing. And speaking of joining ganks, that might happen right now. SC does have the blink finish, which is somewhat unusual. Normally you see like a Veil of Discord first. Blink Silence is the way they need to start this fight. Where is the... Oh, they can start with Burrow Strike. Blink Silence to follow through. They lift them up for good measures. Torrent is going to hit here by September, but... Oh, you got to be very careful. And this is the Terrorblade game plan, right? You go in the lane, you use Metamorphosis, your teammate comes in, you get off the gank, and you push a tower. But it seems like CDC wants to fight this. Flyby does have the Omni Slash available. He's gonna try to backstab. And here we go, Spin coming in here. They want Mugi. Mugi does have the Sunder. In fact, he will use it on Flyby. And now the direction is going to go. Burrow Strike's going to come through. The healing ward is going to go down. They lift him up as well. Spin is stolen here. Omni Slash does fly out, and mostly it goes on Faith. The tower finishes Faith down. X-Torn back with a Sunstrike. Shade gets the kill there, and now tower is defended. Flyby gets a kill. Tower is in deny range. Invoker doesn't even join the fight, and he gets a kill. CDC making it happen. And that's a lot of commitment. Again, Raiden is not working with Hanamitis. They need these tower gold, at least a tier 1 tower gold. The first meta for a push use, they don't get anything. I mean, they got a kill or two, but that's like whatever. So CDC definitely reacting extremely well to whatever that Newbee's throwing at them. Alright, I'm getting a little bit of slideshow Dota, so maybe I could go for a reconnect if the problem persists. Normally I have no trouble with the slideshow Dota because I am in China. So the lag should be fine. Oh, SC is gonna eat a little bit of stuns here. Sunstrike! Alright, Shade is literally Chaos God. And I think that's the best way to play Invoker, be a Chaos God. He is, like, let's compare the level right now, right? He is farming non-stop. He's only level 12, but he's only got this Midas, like, what, 2-3 minutes ago? He is going to propel into levels so damn quickly. I am surprised that his net worth is not higher, though. But, you know, he'll be fine. Looks like he is opting to finish the Aghanim Scepter before going for the BOTs.
tower's coming apart.
Harmony Knight with his Hand of Midas run finish. Yep, Sacred Relic into Radiance. I like it. I think there is an argument for going for like a mech or a Greaves because you are up against Puck. You know, like remember how he died in the top lane was he got lifted, he got burrow striked, and then he got silenced. So throughout the mid and late game, maybe having Greaves to debuff you from the silence is nice, but he's gonna just go for the semi carry build. Alright, Newbee. Looks like yet another big smoke gank. Sanking very far away from his Blink Dagger. Jesus Christ, Kaka has no farm. SC now coming back in. If September tanks a smoke gank, like this is a big win. Oh no, they're gonna go for him again. It's gonna be June getting caught. Silence gonna be on him. Burrow Strike. The Torrent, the bow is gonna be there now. He even got off the Purification. This gank is over. He's gonna be fine. In fact, he pops up Repel himself. It says Faith. You're meeting the hammer. That's gonna be one kill. Kaka, Sentry Ward's gonna be there. And now Newbee getting absolutely destroyed by CDEC. Great counterplay again here. And I gotta say, September breaks a smoke, get out of range, puts up a Torrent bow to make sure that his core doesn't die. He is the 4-position player that we all strive to be. Like, that's how you play good Dota. Alright, these Juggernaut Illusions do a little bit of damage to the mid tower. Alright, I think Newbee needs to go into recovery mode. The recovery mode entails Sanking just AFK farms Blink Dagger, and Terrorblade like finishing his Manta and going towards BKB, because as the game progressing right now, they are really unable to take down tier 1 towers, which they need to. And they're really unable to fight head on, so I think the only option that they have available is to dodge ganks and just farm. And it's gonna be rough here for the next 10 to 15 minutes, because it's gonna be CDEC doing whatever the hell they want to do, whether it's pushing tier 1 towers, or going for Roshan, or whatever else. Alright, Alacrity being stolen. That's a good one to steal, actually. Put on Newbee and let him farm. Look at him go. But here comes that gank party that I mentioned for CDEC. SC is probably the most survivable one, but if they X-Torrent bolt him, he could face the Torrent but not the bolt, given the fact that his phase is pretty low. But they're gonna find Faith here, and now Flyby just straight up rips the Omni Slash. Uh-oh, Cold Snap. He's trying to move it out there, but the constant chain stun with the Cold Snap on top. It was Cold Snap, Frostbite, and of course the constant spinning by Flyby. Shade, as per usual, KSS will Sunstrike, and he is absolutely rich. Ironically, even with Flyby and Shade doing extremely well, it's Jude who's doing even better. Highest CS, highest net worth in his whole team. Has the Radiance finish, I believe. I think the recipe was like purchased earlier. Yep, finish Radiance in 18 minutes with a Hand of Midas. If this is one of your few games of watching competitive Dota, this is good farm. If you open up a dictionary and look up good farm, you'll see a picture of burning, and then you'll see also this Radiance Midas in 18.
Dire's mid tower's having technical difficulties.
CDEC thinking about Roshan as an opportunity. But there's really no need for CDEC to start taking some unnecessary risk. I think they're so far ahead right now, they can kind of just chill and keep on farming. Alright, Kunkka picks up an Urn. I find that somewhat interesting. And also a Face Boot. The Face Boot makes more sense because later on he's going to go into Tidebringer, and that's going to be a good way to catch up on farm. Urn is not something you see too often, but obviously definitely a very, very good sustain item. And speaking of sustain, like in conjunction with the Urn, Purification, Healing Ward, as well as the Cocoa Rum, during teamfight, CDEC is going to be mightily tanky. And I think that's largely a reason why Newbee is struggling so hard. They're just... Remember that smoke gank to the bottom? They were going on Omni Knight, and the bolt came out, and he just healed himself, and that was the gank. That's the problem that Newbee's going to have to run into in this mid game, especially when they're so behind in terms of items. Trying to answer back a little bit here with the pressure on the bottom, but Flyby's already at the tier 2. He's got Mantas, so he is sending Illusion, cutting off the creep wave. And tier 2 is taking somewhat of a beating. Alright, X-Torn Bolt. They got Illusion pretty good. Small victory here for Terrorblade and friends, but Bolt has one of the shorter cooldowns, so I'm not even sure if that's even that big of a victory. KP does have the Radiance running, or sorry, does have the Midas running, and he's almost nearing to the Radiance finish, so that's gonna be a big item pickup for them. Because Terrorblade doesn't have enough items to sit in the front line right now, but hold that thought here. A Sang can get solo kill here by Shade. Well, that's going to be rough. They go into the Roshan pit, but I do believe the scan actually got them out, so CDEC is fully aware of this. They pop the Torrent, no bolt available, but Torrent picks up on everybody. The Meteor, the coil is going to be used here onto September on the right side. They X-swap on Moogie. Does Moogie have the Sunder? He will pop the Sunder right now, and actually drives them back. So far, CDEC has stopped the Roshan. The Sunstrike's going to come through. It will miss on Faith, though. Tornado, however, does pick up the puck. The right clicks are coming through. SC gets frostbitten up. SC's gonna go down. Well, the Roshan sneak is no longer working. And is it low enough for CDEC to go back in? No, it's not. And that's really a sign of desperate play here by Team Newbee to go for that Roshan sneak. But they are behind by quite a bit, as you can see by the net worth differential. So I don't fault them for making that play, but unfortunately for them, it did not work out. It also doesn't help that, you know, Sanking died before the fight even happened. But now, CDC says, thank you for softening up Roche. We'll go back in and take it. Aegis going to Shade. And the rest of the team goes back to farming.
Gold from my chest.
CDC says, look guys, we're so far ahead, we got Aegis. Let's just start getting some more towers. And that's exactly what's happening. I like the play by September though. He's gonna try to X1, expecting this to be one of the real heroes. In fact, no such thing. None of these were real heroes. They don't get the tier 2, but that's fine.
I'll take your tribute.
I wonder what Invoker's saving for us, this next item. Octarine is pretty common in this case. Looks like he's going to be going for Hex. Alright. A wise choice. Hex is always good. Oh, I did kind of mention it earlier, but now that we have a little bit more time to talk about it. Normally you see Puck finishing the Veil of Discord first before the Blink. It's because Veil of Discord allows you to actually get to Blink very quickly. It's a very efficient farming tool. And of course, early on in the game, you don't really need the power of the initiation that badly. Alright, they thought this one was the real one. No, look at Jutes. By popping the Veil on a creep wave, you could actually pop them fairly easily with your 2 nukes, as so. And that will actually allow you to go into your Blink very, very quickly. Now, the reason that he went for Blink instead of Veil first this game is that they were so far behind already in that stage of the game that he needed Blink to actually make some catch happen. And I do believe they got a couple picks. In particular, I think they killed Omni Knight once with a Blink up top. But ultimately, it wasn't enough. So, that gambit did not pay off. 3-man smoke here in the jungle for CDEC. Oh, sorry for missing that kill. I'm not sure where he got the kill. Looks like here. With Invoker, you never know because Sunstrike is the thing. Looks like he just kind of comboed the Sankey. And here it goes. CDEC will be claiming this tier 2. Torrent will miss here. But power goes down.
Radiant's mid tower's in trouble.
Tornado will clip one up in the air. Ice Wall on top of KP. They lift them up. Keep in mind that Invoker does have the Aegis. He will Ghost Walk right out of there. X Bolt is going to be on top of KP. KP does not have the ult anymore. Omni Slash going to be on top. Guardian Angel allowing them to dive even further. Faith skills of Repel not going to be good enough. Sunstrike not going to hit. But the base is going to be opened up here to CDEC, and as they're sieging hard onto this tier 3. The question is, will they back off after the tier 3 or will they continue on? Whiff is going to come out, but 45 seconds before Abaddon comes back. I think they could keep going. And in fact, they will. Melee Rack's under siege, and honestly, at this stage of the game, I really don't see what could Newbee do to actually make a comeback here. Alright, Faith lifts one up. They toss him back. Sunstrike on top here, and Kaka gonna go down. Terrorblade is working overtime up top. Does take down the tier 2 and now is forcing a couple of TPs back, but to what avail because you have lost your melee racks already. We're sitting about a 20k net worth lead. If you just compare it to the carries, right? Like, Juggernaut is surprisingly underfarmed given the situation he is in, but Invoker, Omni Knight, well ahead. Back in the mid lane, SC trying to go for some solo kills. Alright, there's a blink away. Alright. I was gonna say, if he got that kill with the Sunstrike. Alright, let's see some item progression coming out. Kunkka going for the Shadow Blade. Pretty standard choice. Will help him do damage later on, and of course will make the initiation much easier. Lincoln's Midas. Yasha and Radiance. Holy hell, this is one of the most farm Omni I've seen. Of course, we've seen the Hex. Been put into good work by Shade. And then Manta Diffusal, pretty standard by Flyby. And Crystal Maiden has a hand of Midas as well, so both teams really using the Midas as both as a catch-up mechanism as well as a way to get ahead. The Newbee will be losing structure after structure. Shrines are now open as well, and Flyby will chop those up. Normally when you're so far behind, like one thing you could lean on is having some strong teamfight capabilities, but I don't know if Newbee's teamfight is even good enough. Like their best teamfight is what, Coil and 4-man Epicenter Burrow Strike combo, but probably CDEC survives that. They pop Guardian Angel and like heal. And look at this push. Oh god, not like this. Remember when I said 4-man Epicenter? Well,
guess what's happening to Dire's bottom tower?
We're not gonna see a 4-man Epicenter.
The Dire gave up a bottom tower.
The one thing that Mugi's actually playing really well is he's ratting like a god, right? He's never been caught a single time while ratting, which I think is absolutely impressive. And by doing this, like for example, like the Invoker's not there right now, putting Alacrity on at least on the Omni Knight. He's getting some damage on the tier 2. In fact, tier 2 goes down to half HP. So despite the situation that Newbee's at, let's just say that Mugi is playing really good split push. But is really good split push good enough? Because Invoker will BOT to the top lane, Juggernaut will be shortly nearby. It looks like KP is looking to fight here. Jin just walks in. Kaka does not have the Epicenter. Keep that in mind. Burrow Strike will only hit on one. Here comes the bolt. The Coco Run will be applied on everybody. Setsu pops up BKB. He walks away from the coil. Guardian Angel only hitting himself. Pretty good fight so far here. BKB'd up on Mugi, and he's looking to right-click Crystal Maiden, doing a zoning Crystal Maiden ultimate. KP on the backline, applying the Radiance. The Omni Slash will fly out. Takes down one, but looks like he's going to be in a lot of trouble here. Omni Knight healing himself back up, and now Invoker on the backline, dropping down his AoE. The Dual Scepter as well as Torrent on top. It's going to be a Sunstrike on 2. Invoker does go down to Faith. Faith actually blinks to the right side. get chopped up. A really good team fight for Newbee considering the situation they're in, but CDEC, despite, I think, getting surprise jumped on, because they're just so far ahead, Zhou Busong calling the GG. Oh my god. I think Zhou Busong roughly translates into, like, move carefully, don't feed. Which is kind of the opposite of what Newbee just did. You know, considering that team fight, what if Kaka had Epicenter? Remember he blew it in his, like, base? Maybe if they had Epicenter, like, this fight might have been a little bit more even, but let's be real, like, the game was so behind for Newbee. I'm impressed that they actually took it an okay team fight, given the situation they're in, but yep, Shade playing extremely well, 9-1-6, Flyby with their offensive trialing doing well as well, 8-0-6, and then of course, I think the MVP for me is definitely June on his Omni Knight. Not exactly the best tagline in terms of kills, but his farm is absolutely amazing. And that is game 1 in the book. CDEC takes it pretty much in a landslide victory over Newbee. And we're going to go into game 2. We'll take a short break. We'll be back, guys.